teachers, and welcome to part 3 of our SchoolAi training. In this episode, we're going to talk about how to use the Spaces feature in SchoolAi. Now, Spaces are the part of SchoolAi that is front and center. You can see they start with Spaces up here to kind of recommend it to you. It's also the student-facing side of this application. This is a way to boost your teaching and boost your activities with AI. So they're still highly experimental. There are some really cool things that you can use with them, and I would recommend that you test them out and make adjustments as necessary. So let's start by kind of showing you this drop-down menu up here. We have the Discover tab where you can find spaces that have been created by somebody else on the SchoolAI platform already. You can create a space for yourself, and you can see the spaces that you have created and manage those by either ending them or see how the students are doing in that space, so on and so forth. Now, before we jump into those, I'd also like to talk to you about some of the stuff that's advertised to you here on the front page. So the first type of space that you can make is what's called a sidekick. Now, think of the sidekick as a tutor to help your students. The way that this space works is it's designed to be really kind of broad in how it can help them, and it wants to help your students as much as possible. So rather than an assignment, a sidekick is a tutor or a resource for your students. So for example, one thing that I might want to try for a sidekick is help my students with their questions about homework. Don't generate answers or content for them. Simply help them to understand. Guide them with questions. All right, now the sidekick requires you to put very specific guardrails on it if you want restrictions. So one thing that I found with this one is that if I just say help students with questions about their homework, it's very willing to generate essays and papers with them. Maybe instead of content, I should say don't generate answers or essays for them. This way, it won't just type their paper for them. It will give them guidance on how to write that paper and offer up critiques. So I'm going to go ahead and hit launch. And now I can invite my students in a couple of different ways. I can get a QR code. If I'm using Google Classroom, I can do that. I can also integrate this with Canvas, and I'll show you how to do that. Now, this is what it looks like on the student side of things. You can see they can chat with this AI bot. It can speak to them and they can speak to it and have it transcode their words to it. You can also select a language. So if you have a student that maybe doesn't speak English the best, or if they're learning a different language, there are other options, and there are quite a few. And you can watch your students interact with this bot. So help me write an introduction for my, let's say, English essay. And you can see it's going to think about it for just a moment. I have noticed that it can be a little bit slower on the student side of things. And there you go, it's already asking for more information. I'm going to say it's argumentative about cell phones in school. I want to say that's a bad idea to ban them, because that's the position most students will take. So notice it's giving me directions, but it isn't writing it for me. Please write an introduction. And it should redirect itself because I gave it that directive not to do it. See, and there it is. I can't write it for you, but I can help you. So again, with Sidekick, it is a tutor, and so you've got to give it specific restrictions. Otherwise, it's going to try and help your students in the quickest way possible, which might not always be conducive to learning. And that's the Sidekick. So let's go into Canvas. I'm just going to go ahead and hop into one of my classes for my media aids. Here it is right here. And let's say I wanted to make the Sidekick available to them. I'll just add it to this first module. I'm going to put it in as a page. We'll go ahead and create page, and I'll call it the Sidekick. And so one thing that I could do is I can grab my invite link, copy it right there, and then paste it in. And then when students click on this, they'll automatically be given access to the Sidekick. The other option that you could do is to create it as an assignment. Now, I recommend that if you are giving them a Sidekick that's a tutor, I wouldn't make it a real assignment that's worth points. I would leave it at 0, don't count it to the final grade, and then don't sync it to PowerSchool, because again, a Sidekick is more of a helper and a resource rather than an actual assignment. But putting it as an assignment in Canvas does have the benefit of being able to use the external tool function. Go ahead and click Find, scroll down until you find SchoolAi. It's going to link me up to it, and then it's going to ask me, well, which session is it? I can actually create a session from directly here in Canvas, but since I just made one, I'll go to Sessions. Here's the Sidekick I just launched. I'll click on that. And I'm going to click this little button down here that says Add this session. Select. And I recommend loading it in a new tab. Gives the students a little bit more space when doing it. And then I can save that. And on the student end of things, when they load in, they'll hop into their space. It'll put in their name. And here we go. Our Sidekick is ready to help them out and talk with them. All right. Now let's talk about regular spaces. The Sidekick is like a tutor space. A regular space, you can think of it more as an assignment. Now you can create your own space, and you use similar prompts to what you would use in the Tools or the Assistance tab. You give it a title, and I'm going to say I would like to talk about the book Brave by Svetlana Shmakova. Really good book, more for middle schoolers. But so I could give it a prompt. Discuss the themes and ideas in Brave, or in the book Brave by Svetlana Shmakova. Help students to connect these ideas to other texts and to their own lives. Only discuss the first 5 chapters. And then, of course, I can add my standards, similar to how I would do so in the tools or the documents creations in the tools function. I want to make sure that you're on Utah, select your grade level, and then pick your subject and the strand in that subject, and then you can select whichever one you'd like to add in. You can add any files that you think would be useful for this. So maybe I would want to upload a PDF copy of the book if I have one of those, or any worksheets that I have. And then there are optional details. I can give a cover image. Easiest way for that is to actually just generate it with AI, and then the AI will make a picture for you. You can give it a subtitle, and then of course you can explain what is the purpose. I want students to come to conclusions about the themes of the book. And then for the student description, this is what the students see when they join in. This is optional, so if you would like for the AI to act in a certain way or open with a certain comment, you can type that in here. Now keep in mind, I can actually kind of get creative with this. If I want it to just be plain Jane, I can have the same prompt that I have here. But if I want, I can say, talk as if you were the main character. And now the AI will take on the persona of the main character from the book. This is looking pretty good. If I want to make sure, I can go ahead and hit Start Preview, and then I can see what it would look like to a student here. So it's going to go ahead and begin, and there it is, Jensen. That is the main character of the book. I'm here to chat with you about the themes and ideas of the first 5 chapters. We dive into my life. I face challenges dealing with bullies. Have you ever felt like you didn't fit in or had to deal with tricky friendship situations? Now, as somebody who's read this book, I can tell you this is exactly what we're looking for. These are the main ideas of the book. It's a very, very smart robot. When I'm ready to go, I can either save it for later or I can click Save and Launch. And then I will be ready to share it with my students, integrate it to Canvas, so on and so forth. Now, I do want to show you what it will look like on the teacher end of things. I actually did complete this with some of my students in a previous year. So let me find it really quickly. Here it is. You can see I had 125 students in certain class periods who are accessing it. And now what's interesting is that right here, I can see how the students are feeling in their discussions with the AI. So you can see these students are feeling positively, and I do get a headline, this particular student is showing empathy and understanding in the discussions. That's great. If I want to explore that more, I can actually click on this headline, and I can see everything in the chat that the student has said, right? This makes it really nice to make sure that my students are focused and on task. It will let me know if somebody is not on task and needs to be redirected. It also gives me some extra, like, deeper headlines over here on the side. So I can see that this person is unsure about what steps they could take to prevent bullying, but does acknowledge the existing efforts to stop it. And if I find that interesting, I can go and find the student over here, click in, and find out more. So on your end, you actually do get quite a bit of information to see how students are doing. You can get in to see it a little bit sooner. And you can also see which students are actively working on it. Obviously, since this is an old space, these students aren't working on it anymore. Now, when integrating a space into Canvas as an assignment, I do recommend that you actually make it through Canvas. Let me show you how to do that. So you're going to create a normal assignment, and I'm just going to call this one space assignment. Then in your editor, you're going to select external tool. You'll come down to SchoolAi. And then I actually recommend that you create your space from this window. Keep in mind, you can expand this window to be a little bit larger if it's not, if you need to be able to see more or anything like that. And then I recommend that you create your space in here. I'm going to do just a quick bell ringer. And I'm going to say Chapter 5 of Brave by Svetlana Shmakova. Now, from here, of course, you can put in the same prompts that you did before, but what's nice about doing it through Canvas rather than directly in SchoolAi is you have this button for LTI grading configurations, and this will make it so that Canvas auto-grades the discussion with the student. Now, there's a lot of different ways that you can do that. You can say, okay, they need to be on it for at least 2 minutes, and they need to talk with the AI at least 10 times to get 100%. And so on and so forth. Or maybe that's half the amount of points, and after 4 minutes and 20 messages sent, they'll get full points. You can determine how that is. And then you can add the space, and that will be added into Canvas. You can give it your points and do all the regular Canvas stuff that you know and love. All right. Next, let's look at the Discover tab. You don't have to make your own spaces from scratch. You can actually find a lot of things that are pre-done for you and even pre-generated. You can do easy bell ringers and easy exit tickets. You can upload and choose a video to discuss with your students. And then, of course, you can filter by subject. So if I wanted to look in literature, here's a literature tutor that's available for me. Looks like this month they've got some October spaces. So if I wanted to talk about Edgar Allan Poe, I could click on this and just launch this with my students. Shauna R made it. I don't know who that is, but if I like what I see in this preview, then I could definitely use that. So keep in mind that you don't have to make them all yourself, but you can scroll down and find things that have been made already. All right. With that, then, this has been a training on how to use the Spaces function of SchoolAi. This is, again, the student-facing side. It's what the students will see. If you're using a sidekick, it's more of a tutor. If you're using a regular space, it's more of an assignment. And you can kind of grade their understanding through the discussions that they're having with the AI. All right. As always, if you have any questions, feel free to reach out to me. I encourage you to go in and make your first space sometime today. Good luck.